Buonasera a tutti, eccoci qua, siamo in diretta come sempre. Stasera abbiamo l'opportunità di parlare, secondo me, con un membro fondatore dei Marillion. Per chi conosce la band e per chi ascolta il prog, penso che sia come sempre un'opportunità per poter parlare. Siccome i tempi sono abbastanza ristretti, cercheremo di essere il più sintetico possibile, dato che c'è una richiesta da parte di Mark. Quindi se volete fare delle domande scrivete pure, ecco. Vi auguro una buona visione e poi sempre ci saranno sempre qui generati tutti i sottotitoli. Mark, thanks.
Hi, how's it going?
Thank you. Thank you. So good. And for you, thank you for your time and for your kindness, because I know you are very busy at the moment, but it is a pleasure to talk with you. And for me, it is an important thing because I am a Marillion fan, so it is a good,
Good,
huge thing. So,
good.
Mark, first of all, I want to talk about, if you want, your book, your autobiography.
Mm.
I want to ask you what is your first thought about write your memories. Why did you write this book? You are so young, and I think that if you write an autobiography, you are at the end of your career, but in your case, not.
Well, who knows? We don't know what's around the corner, do we? No, it wasn't my idea. I had no plan to write an autobiography at all. Wasn't even considering it. So what happened was I was making a solo album, and I was interviewed by a writer called Nick Shilton, who was also a book publisher. I didn't know this, but he has a little book publishing company, and he said to me, "Oh, have you ever thought about writing your story down? I think it would be an interesting book if you were to write a book." And I was like, "Me? I don't write books, you know." So, um, but then I thought about it, and I thought, and it was around about the time of COVID, so everybody was stuck at home, nothing to do. We were trying to make a Marillion album, but we couldn't get together. So I thought, okay, and that's kind of why I did the solo album, and then I did the biography because I had time, And but once I started, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was good to do.
And another thing, your first encounter with the music, if I don't get me wrong, your first album that your inspiration for you was Animals by Pink Floyd. Is it right?
Not really. That was one of the very first gigs that I went to, Pink Floyd, when they were
Gigs,
well,
okay.
on the Animals tour, yeah, in
Flash tour in
1970s,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
77
yes.
it was, yeah.
Okay.
But my inspiration for playing music was listening to Yes and Rick Wakeman especially. I became a fan of Rick Wakeman when I was I wasn't very young. I was probably 15, but um, and that's that style. So from a few years before, I started listening to music probably when I was 10 or 11, and then gradually discovered progressive rock music. So and some more heavier rock like Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, and then but I really liked Pink Floyd and Yes and Genesis and
In
all this stuff, and
Crimson.
so that was kind of my introduction to music. And then um, I just decided one day that I wanted to play the keyboards. I wanted to play like, I loved the sound of synthesizers and just everything about keyboards. So I persuaded my mother to buy me a little organ to try and learn to play. So that was kind of how it started. But but being in a band was just something that you did for fun, I wasn't thinking about it as a job or as a career. I was thinking that it would be something I would do as a hobby.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
but
Yes.
and that's what I did for a few years. I was a student. I went to art college. Didn't like that. Went to, and then I ended up in Marillion. But it was only it wasn't my plan, you know. So
But Mark, I think that when you was in the first incarnation of Marillion, I think that your job was your music, and I think that it was a good idea. I think that when you
oh
was
yeah,
younger.
yeah, yeah. I was so when I was after art college, I decided to study electronics. So I started
Okay.
in a college studying electronics, and I'd only been there for about 3 months, literally just started, and I saw Marillion, and they asked me. So I was in a band, and they were playing, and they were our support act, so they were on before us,
Okay.
and and um, and I saw them, and they watched me play and asked me to join. But and so I went to my art my my electronics tutor and said, I've got this plan. I want to go and join a rock band, but I have to leave college because it's miles away. You know, they live on the other side of London. Um, but if it doesn't work out, like in a year's time, can I come back and carry on? And he just went, I think you're crazy. But yeah, okay. So that was it. I thought so. The point I'm getting to is, I thought I'll give it 1 year. I'll see what happens. But if in 1 year nothing happens, then I'll go back to
I
college.
came back
Yeah.
to college. It was a good idea, but I think that you're very clever, and now you're still in Marillion. And I want to ask you, your first album that you was young, your first album that he said to you, "I want to be a musician." Maybe you have maybe one, two, or three albums that you're a masterpieces for you when you was very young, or a song that you said to you, "I want to be a professional musician."
So for me, there was like 3 albums probably. Yes Songs, which was like a triple
Okay.
live album by Yes. I never had
Yes.
any of the studio. I didn't have any of their studio albums. I only had that Yes Songs, and I that was my Bible. That was the
Your Bible.
yeah, I listened to that so much. And Journey to the Center of the Earth and the Six Wives of
The
Henry
correct
the
one.
Eighth.
Okay.
Yeah, the Rick Wakeman albums for the just for the keyboards, for the sounds and the playing and everything. And that was kind of that was my inspiration to want to play music and be in a band.
And when you
So
joined Mark Marillion in 1982, what was your recall or your memories when you joined Marillion in 1982? It was very different. It was the time of post-punk, new wave, ska revival.
yeah.
What about? I don't like the name neoprog because I think that like 12th Night, Palace, Pentagon,
Mm.
and other bands. What do you think about this kind of label, new prog? Is it good for you or not?
Uh, Well, I don't know how old you are, but back then,
41, 41.
okay, so yeah, I could tell you were not old enough to remember 1982, right? Um, so back then, what we were doing, and bands like 12th Night and Palace, the Enid, and
You need,
Pendragon, the Enid, yeah,
and the
they were,
IQ, and the
yeah, and
IQ
IQ started a little bit later, but the Enid were like
later.
from 19, I think the Enid were like 1976, I think their first album was. So they were like at the tail end of the the original progressive rock period, which is probably from the late 60s to 1976 when punk came along. And then
Yes,
it was all gone. Everybody went,
finished.
this this is pretentious, and nobody needs to learn to play their instruments anymore. Anybody can be in a band, and so for me that was when I was just really getting into music. I'm like, what the fuck has happened? What happened to all the great bands? They're all been, everybody hates them now. So
Fugazi, they are dead. Fugazi.
yeah, yeah. So for us, we were kind of trying to keep that going back. So in the very early '80s, there was no neo prog. This was the sort of I suppose we were just like dinosaurs. We were still around making this music, but where everybody else was playing punk, new wave, and '80s pop music or whatever. Um, the neo prog thing kind of started much later in the 1990s, really, with Stephen Wilson, Porcupine Tree, and Dream Theater, and all those bands. That was kind of like the next generation. We're kind of stuck. You've got the first lot in the early '70s, and then the new wave of progressive rock in the early '80s, and then the neo prog in the '90s. But it's just people wanting to play a particular type of music that's musically challenging, music that's got some craftsmanship about it, I suppose, some playing ability, and good, but also good tunes, good songwriting. Some people that have got some knowledge of music, and it not be really basic and simple. Although quite a lot of our songs are quite simple, really. I think it's just more of a,
Mm.
you know. But I suppose wanting to tell stories with your songs rather than just a 3-minute pop song. There's a
Pop.
it's hard to define what it is to be progressive rock music, but for a long time people hated it, throughout the '80s and until probably the mid '90s. And then I think it kind of became all these bands that came along in the 1990s, even the pop bands or the more mainstream bands like I was going to say Radiohead and Pulp, and they all said, "Oh yeah, we listened to Genesis and we listened to Yes and Pink Floyd when we were young," and then it wasn't uncool anymore. I think that's the thing; it was really uncool for a long time, and now people go, progressive rock is fine. Stephen Wilson is kind of trendy almost.
Yes. It is a guru in my opinion. It is a good one because I listen the the classic remaster of Fugazi and Misplaced Childhood. But I think that the first press of these albums are very important. I like to collect vinyls, and when I found the first press of Script for a Jester Tier, Fugazi,
Mm.
Misplaced Childhood, and the Fig Magpie, it is important to see and to hear the evolution of Marillion. Because if you listen to Grendel, my personal masterpiece, in those days, in 1982 and 1983, it was very, very different. And I want to ask you, what was the reaction of the audience when you played in Marquee? What was the the reaction of the young people
They were
about
they were
your music, Mark?
they were crazy. We had an amazing audience, and I think so. As I was saying back then, we were unfashionable. Nobody wanted to, the
Mm,
people were thinking, why are you playing this style of music? Nobody
longer,
likes this
okay.
music anymore. And the only reason that we got signed to a major record label was because of the marquee, because the guy from the record company, he came to see us there, and he thought, oh, it's going to be like a bunch of old hippies watching this band, people from, in their 30s or 40s, because this music is old music. He thought we
Old
were going to
Mill,
be
yes.
like, he liked something from the early '70s. So, but our music had a bit more of a harder edge to it. It wasn't, we kind of absorbed some of that new wave punk attitude a little bit. So our music didn't sound like Caravan or Camel or something very, quite soft. And um and the audience were really young. That was the guy from the record company's like, shit, there's like, it's 15, 16-year-old kids, mostly men, mostly boys, to be honest. we didn't have very many girls in our audience in those days.
Because
But they
there's
were,
in the prog music, no more women, no more
no,
women, boys.
unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, unfortunately,
But well, we were quite an ugly band, so you know, we weren't that
no,
like the
no.
girls. The girls would go and see Duran Duran or
Spandau Ballet.
Kajagoogoo, Spandau Ballet, yeah. But you could see that it was a very young audience, and they were really excited about Marillion. So, and that's why the guy from the record company was like, "I don't understand it, but look at the audience. I'm going to sign them."
I'm
So
gonna sign them,
yeah,
and it was a major. It was a EMI, not Rouge Trade or a little record
yeah.
label. You signed
Well, we
to EMI. It
EMI,
is
yeah,
important.
probably one of the biggest labels then back in the early
With
80s. They
Nick
had,
Tauber. Nick Tauber was your first mentor, and later Chris Kempsey, later. So a good people. And I want to ask you, another side of Marillion was the lyrics, and I think that Fish was a good one because if you listen and later I understand the meaning of Chelsea Mondi. Chelsea Mondi, it is a song about the fashion of the system of the fashion, and this girl die in the river. It is very sad, but when I first heard for the first time, it was for me a revelation because I was a huge fan of Genesis, yes, King Crimson, and when I heard the script for a Jester Tear, for me was a revelation. I was 12 years old, 12 years old because I was study drums, and when I heard one uh, one boy of the school say to me, Matteo, why did you listen to this band? And I said, Marillion, I don't know. And when Marillion was talking Silmarillion, maybe they are very, very adventurous. And for the first time, Script for a Jester Tear, it opened my mind.
okay, well, good. I'm
And
glad
Script
to
for a
hear it.
Jester Tear, I don't want to be so simple, but in the Fish era, what is your favorite album?
Um, I'd have to probably say Misplaced Childhood, just
Miss Childhood.
not because it was the most successful, but for me, it just felt like the band had matured to a point where we were making, music that really worked well, and the playing was better. The songs were better. I think my second favorite is Script for a Jester's Tear. I think it has a a really good atmosphere about it. Fugazi for me had a lot of problems, and
I know, I know.
I wasn't
I
so
wa-
keen on. But my problem with Clutching at Straws isn't the music, because I think the music in Clutching at Straws is really good, but I think lyrically, I think Fish was just too much obsessed with the whole fame,
too much
drugs, and
confused,
drinking. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
confused,
yeah.
and a little bit under a strange thing. But and for me, Fugazi, maybe it is an album with so much troubles, but I think that Fugazi was the right balance with Ian Mosley, a good drummer from Steve Hackett, and my favorite one was Punch and Judy. And later, when I was more adult, I think about the meanings. The meanings of your song in the fish area are very very deep. It gave me shivers every time I listen Incubus. Now I'm
Oh,
41, but when I was 15, only only the music, because when I spoke with my uncle, I said to my uncle, now he's gone. He said to me, when I was young, Marillion in Italy was very a huge act, and in Italy in the first years Mark, you're very welcome because I saw a concert 1984, maybe in Florence or in Milan, and Marillion
Okay.
in Italy are very a good actor. I don't know your relationship with Italy. I know that it is very important.
Yeah, we've always had a really good audience in Italy. I mean, it's been difficult because um, it's not always easy to tour in Italy for some reason, but we're coming back soon. Actually, I think we've got some. I think we're planning a. In fact, we did one of our weekends in near Venice.
Uh,
Place, yeah. Um,
Let me think.
Padua. Was it
Yes,
Padua? Yeah.
yes,
Uh,
Padova. Yes.
yeah. So we've done 2 weekends there last year and a couple of years ago. So, you know, but yeah, the Italian audience have always been really good. Yeah.
And what about now, Marillion? What we what we wait about a new album? Something about it? You can talk about it, Mark.
So I'll tell you what I can tell you about it, which is we've been working for quite a while to come up with some new music, new words.
New
You know,
stuff.
the thing is, when you're young, it's very easy. You know, everything's new, everything's exciting, and um, it's people are. I don't know. You just feel, in a way, I'm not even sure if you're more creative. It's just that you're more willing to just go, oh yeah, this is great. Let's just do it. You know. Whereas as you get
And
older,
play
you're more like,
and play.
yeah,
Yes.
you're more like, okay, is this good enough? You know, have we done something like this before? Should we? And so it takes a lot longer. And so what we've been doing for the last few years is building up a bunch of ideas. We do a lot of jamming, and we don't work all day. You know, we used to do that. We tried that with like Holidays in Eden. We went away to a like a residential studio for months, and we would be there every day. We'd have breakfast, we go in the studio, play for 4 hours,
Lunch,
have lunch,
play.
go back, play, trying to write. And it's drives you crazy because, you know, you can't force creativity to happen. It doesn't, you know, yeah, you have to turn up. You have to turn up for work. You have to do it. But we realized many years later that the best time is the first 30 minutes, first hour, maybe the first 2 hours, but that's
And
it.
later stop.
And
And
after
later
that, you might as well
go
just stop,
go
go
home.
home, do
Bye
something
bye.
else, and then come back the next day and do a couple more hours. That's pretty much what we've been doing for a while. And I mean, people laugh about it. They say, "Ah, so are you going to work today?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm going to the studio. We're starting at, I don't know, midday." And he goes, "What time are you finished?" I said, "Maybe
Two
two," you know,
o'clock.
and then
Two
and
or
then
3 o'clock. I'm
yeah,
I'm I'm
and
done.
then and they say, "Do you have a lunch break as well?" You know, I'm like, "No, not usually." Um, but um, but no, seriously, we've got to the stage where we've got a lot of ideas, and quite a few of them we've turned into. I wouldn't call them finished songs, but some of them are pretty finished. We've got
Mhm.
maybe 20 songs, and we're literally this week. Our producer Mike Hunter is going to basically just send us. He's just editing and tidying up some of these bits and pieces to make them all as good as they can be right now, and then we'll go away and then we'll listen to them, and then we will decide. Okay, I really
If you
love
put
these
on a
five.
record or not.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll all kind of decide which ones we think are the best and which are the worst. And then we'll get together and then we'll say, we won't do anything that somebody hates. If one of the band really doesn't like something, that says, I really don't want to do that song, we won't do it. But hopefully we'll have enough to make an album. And that's kind of where we are. So and some of them are kind of almost finished. So it's not like we're going to start from the beginning. we'll just finish off the songs that we've got. We'll work on them. Some of them we'll record completely again. Some, what we've got is just needs a bit of work to finish it off, you know. So we could have an album as soon as, if it went really, really well, in 2 or 3 months. If it went more slowly, by the end of the year. So that's kind of where we are. But we're doing some touring later in the year as well. So
I agree with you, but because I think now there are more technology, and maybe you can, as you said, I listen the demo on my car, and I think that for a band it is a plus. And I think that now you are mature, and maybe the creativity or the thing about a new song is very different, because now Marillion are a statement, are a brand, and I think that you have the time to think about a new album. There's no hurry, because I think that you are independent band now. You have the contract
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
for something about, but you're independent.
Yeah, but we're not in a situation where we have to make an album because we need to earn the money from selling it. You know, we've
Like in the
I'm
80s.
not. Yeah, back
Like in
then
the
it was like we
80s.
had to make, in the 90s we had to make an album every year because otherwise we wouldn't earn enough money to live on. You know, so.
Yes.
But you know, we do other things. Like I'm doing a podcast with my daughter at the moment,
Program
called
progeny.
exactly. Um,
Wonderful.
uh,
Wonderful, because you talk about your memories, and
yeah, yeah.
it is very good one. It is very good one, and it is the first contact, because when I saw Program Progeny, it was my dream to contact you and said, so many people and friends said to me, "You are a huge fan of Marillion. Contact Mr. Kelly." And I said, "I don't know if Mr. Kelly come to my channel." And you are now
Well, here I
here.
am.
Here I am. And Mark, your love about your sport. You're a runner. When you become a run addict.
um, I didn't. I started running regularly in 2009 or 10, I think. I entered a marathon, so I had to train for the marathon, and then I did 3 marathons in a long time ago, and then that's it. I said no more marathons. It's too hard, but I still like running. Um, so yeah, I just run. I run. You know, I go to the gym. I run to keep fit. You know, I'm 65 in a month, so I have to
65.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
so
Because
I
you're
have
born
to.
in next to 61.
That's right.
You're
Yeah,
born. Okay, okay. You're young, Mark. And I
yeah,
want to ask you about your gear. I am a drummer, but I am a synth addict. Now you play with Wesley instrument. You don't use Minimoog or PPG Wave. You have on your laptop.
Well, look. For example, here I haven't got them switched. This is an interesting thing. It's like it hasn't got any keys. It just has a neoprene. It's not switched on, so I can't demonstrate it. But
Like Jordan
yeah,
Rudder's of
yeah,
Dream
this is really
Theater.
cool. And this one, the keys, they move from side to side as well. I don't know if you can see that. So when you play it,
Okay,
you can, like a guitar player, you can, bend them, and they're very
bending
bouncy.
like
Yeah,
CS8. Okay, like
yeah. And then it's
Yamaha.
just this is just a normal piano, um, but in my studio, this is like at home. I just have a computer, some speakers, and a few keyboards. There's another keyboard down there. So
Nord.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Nord.
no, yeah. But you don't really need that much um, to work at home. Like as you said, everything's in the computer, so um, you can get all these amazing sounds and record it all, and then just put on one of these and take it to the studio.
In
So and that's
1984, it was the magnetic tape. in 1984.
1984. One of those. Yeah. Like a
Wow, wow.
Ampeg tape. Yeah.
I'm Peg.
Yeah.
We have 5 minutes because you're very busy, and thank you for your time. I want to ask you, what about the future of Marillion? Maybe with this album, I want to ask you a simple question. Have you think about a reunion, a tour with Fish, a long tour? Is it
Well,
real
I
or
don't know if you
not?
know, but he doesn't make
Yes,
music
I know it. I
anymore.
know it.
He's retired to a tiny island in Scotland, in the
In Scotland,
north of
yes.
Scotland. Um, and I know he did his farewell tour, and um, I don't think he. I think he's finished with music. So, um, but even so, I mean, we've been with Steve Hogarth now for 35 years, a long time.
Yes, because Steve
More
joined
30, 36 in
in
1989.
1982.
Eight,
Steve joined Marillion in 1982 before
no,
you.
oh, Steve. No, I'm talking about Steve Hogarth. Steve Hogarth joined in
Ah,
'89.
sorry. No,
Yeah,
not Steve Rotary. Sorry, Steve.
yeah. So he's been our singer forever, and I know some people would like to see us do something with Fish, but it wouldn't be the same.
I think that Mourinho now has a new blood, and I think that
And we're still making new music. We've got a new album coming. We're doing a UK tour in September. We're doing a German tour in July. We're playing Pompeii
Pompeii,
in
like
in
Naples,
in July.
near Naples. Okay,
Yeah, we're doing 2 nights in Pompeii, which will be great on the 25th and 26th of July. There's no point telling people about it because they sold out in about 5 minutes. But um,
a good,
so that,
a good thing,
yeah,
Mark. A
yeah,
good thing.
and then we've got a tour in the Netherlands and France in October and November. And then 2027, we're going to do the Marillion weekends again. We'll probably be coming to Italy again, I'm sure.
I will
And
come if I can.
yeah,
I will
so
come. So
we've
you
already got plans till the end of 2027. So um, and then 2028, who knows, another album or whatever, another tour.
And Mark, it was a pity, but your relationship with Mark Wilkinson, it is a pity that he can draw the new cover. Why Mark Wilson don't do the job? Because it gave me shiver when I saw the Jester, and the Jester now is it is a symbol, but it is old
Yeah,
or not.
but when Fish left the band, when we split with Fish, Mark wanted to continue working with Fish, and we
Yes.
felt it was time for us to have a different visual identity. So
Okay. Okay.
that's, yeah, it kind of made sense for us to say thanks, Mark, and bye bye. Because he carried on doing all the Fish covers, didn't he, for a long time. So yeah, yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. I think those covers. I mean, they didn't have that effect on me because I was in the band, but I can relate to it because when I was growing up listening to Yes, I loved the
Roger
artwork of
Dean.
Roger
Yes.
Dean. Yeah, it was
Yes.
such an important part of the identity for me.
Similar
So I can
thing.
see a similar thing. I can understand it. Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't understand, and I want to ask you this: but the Jester was a good one or was a bad one? Because if you see Market Square Heroes, he scratch his mask, and I want to ask you, he was a good or it was a bad man? Because Torch later was Torch, but I don't understand why.
The
Because
Jester.
sometimes it was good, sometimes it was nasty.
Maybe that's a question to ask Fish because I think
Okay,
the
okay.
because he is the crying jester, right? I think, you know.
the crying jester.
Uh,
Mark, we are perfect in time. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your music, for your kindness, and for your sympathy. I hope
Thank you.
to meet live if you so you can put on Fugazi your autograph. We can be still in touch. Thank you for coming to my channel. It was an honor and a pleasure. And thank you for
Take care,
everything.
and good luck with the YouTube channel. So that was live, was it? Are we
Yes,
finished
we
now?
are
Yeah.
live. I will send you the link. Thank you for
Okay.
everything.
I've seen your channel. I can find it. Don't worry.
I
Take
will
care.
send you everything. Thank you, Mark. Ciao a
You
tutti,
take care.
alla prossima. Bye, Mark. Bye bye.
Ciao. Ciao. Bye bye.
Ciao.